combinations of linebackers that you're looking at, what is your sense this far through of what's happening with that position?
They all stink. You know, like I said, I mean, there's a group of guys that we have to continue to work on. Clark's, working overtime to work. I mean, we're at the fundamentals of linebacker play. Good base, strike, tackling. Today we didn't tackle very well with our young players. We're in good position, but we're not there yet. So, this is going to be a process of continue to be patient, continue to work with them, be positive with them, and continue to do, as you can see what I've asked Chip to do offensively is much more inside-out run game, really challenge our defense on the perimeter. We're playing a lot more press coverage. So we're trying to service each other in what we're doing in the spring. So, we're going to keep rolling up our sleeves and going to work every single day with kids that we feel like have the ability but have a skill set that needs to continue to be sharpened.
Is there anybody that's flashed where you say, okay, I kind of think that he'll start somewhere for us?
Asmar. So Asmar, we've seen enough there that, he's in the rotation. Lamb's done some things in passing situations. Those two guys, I think, have done some things that give us an eye towards the fall. The rest is we have to see consistency and performance from everybody else. So, again, we think there's a lot of guys that need a lot of work, and the spring's not going to be the end all for it. We're going to need camp as well.
You moved him into that rover mix. What do you see in him?
Well, I think I mentioned this before. He's a sure tackler. He plays with good leverage. The things that you're looking for a guy that patrols the perimeter of your defense. He doesn't get out of leverage on the ball. He's a sure tackler, so he's got some things that he has to continue to work on too. But he has some pretty good things going for him right out of the gates.
And he has to gain a little more weight. I'm sure you'd want him to have more weight there.
Does he have to gain more weight? No, I don't think he needs to gain more weight. I think just continue to develop his skills at that position, and we'll be fine with him.
On the flip side, the young receivers, do they continue to impress you on a daily, weekly basis?
Yeah, they continue to do really good work. Chris Fink was the star of the game today. Him and Claypool are really good players. We knew that. Michael continues to catch the football with the consistency. But, I think it's, Kevin and Lawrence and Braden, those three guys are certainly adding, to the depth as well as the tight ends. Sure. Joe's coming back, starting to get more comfortable out there and catching the football. And certainly we're getting really good production from the running backs as well, key times.
Slow?
Yeah, he had a little bit of a hamstring, grade 1. So it's taken him a couple of days to get going.
How deep? I think you're pretty clear on your top two running backs. Amir Smith showed something here a little bit today. I guess Lemonster did.
Yeah.
Right at the end. How deep do you think you can go there?
Well, I think we continue to give those guys an opportunity to show themselves and find out, how their roles emerge. Is it Jameer Smith? Is he a banger for us? Where he can really, get us some tough yardage. We know Tony can do a little bit of everything for us: catch the football, pass pro, good solid runner for us. So I think those roles are yet to be defined, but I think every day we see a little bit more that starts to define the kind of running backs they are, because quite frankly, they didn't get much work. But I think every day that we're able to evaluate them, like days like today, we're starting to see what they can, in fact, do for us.
Ryan, how about the growth of Houston Griffith and also Avery Davis, and how's he progressed this spring?
Yeah, again, I think I would answer the question in terms of, from a safety to a corner or a nickel to a corner. Houston's made really good progress. He's being challenged by a really good player in Chase Claypool, so you may look at it and go, wow, we got beat 2 or 3 times today. But I'd like to have that kind of competition going against the kid that is playing corner really at the collegiate level for the first time. He's doing some good things for us. He'll continue to improve. I think that we're going to see a player like Houston continue to grow as it relates to his technique, because physically he's got the tools necessary to play that position. I think Avery's starting to feel more comfortable every day. We're seeing a little bit of improvement in his play each and every day, and it's really more the nuances of the position than it is the knowledge of the position. And we saw that today. He was able to break on an underneath route and almost pick it off. His economy of movement is really what we're trying to get, right? He's not understanding yet how a defensive back moves compared to a wide receiver. So just getting that technique down. I think once we get that down, I think we'll see him close quicker, be in better position to play the ball in the air. So good progress.
Ryan, where is Jafar different or better than the version that you had last year?
Well, I think a year in college football is to the benefit of everybody in terms of, just coming out of that tunnel and knowing what to expect. I think dealing with injuries and setbacks, all of those things tend to make a player deal with the rigors of college football so much better. So let's not underestimate that being a big check. He's physically healthy. He wasn't necessarily healthy all last year. That's another check. And I think he really knows the offense well and knows where he fits. We were still kind of moving him around a little bit, is he a receiver, is he a running back? We've kind of really found a nice niche for him, and I know he feels comfortable in the role that we found him, and that's another check. So, 1, experience, 2, health, and 3, knowing his role. I think if you add those 3 things up, you've got a better version of the player from last year.
Ryan, as far as Chris Spain, do you remember what caught your eye, the staff's eye, that allowed him to make this descent and walk on to probably a likely candidate for a team captain, frankly?
Yeah, I was in the high school, and I think I've shared this story with a number of people in that we had recruited Malik Zaire out of the same high school, and coach who I've respected for a number of years, the head coach there, said, "Look, I know you're all set, but I've got a kid who's a really good competitor, and his sister goes to Notre Dame, and he's going to walk on, or maybe even get a scholarship to Miami of Ohio, and you may want to take a look at him as a walk-on, because I know he likes Notre Dame." So it was late in the day. He said, matter of fact, he's down in the gym practicing. He's on the basketball team. And they had a really good basketball team. And they were scrimmaging. And he was fearless, like going in against 6'5", 6'6" guys and just slapping the ball away, just tenacious. And it just caught my eye as a guy that, was not going to back down from any challenge when it came to competing. And then, you know, we just continued to follow him in his senior year, and he was lights out as a punt returner. So we thought at the minimum, if we took a preferred walk-on who had great ball skills and could be a punt returner and was fearless, because you've got to be fearless to stand out there in front of 85,000 and then have guys running down at you, wanting to hit you, and that requires fearless as the job resume. This would be a good get, and then it turned into be more than that.
Generally speaking, when it comes to walk-ons and whatnot, what do they have to do to catch your attention? Obviously, he did before he came on campus, but just in general terms, is it something that accidentally happens, or are you actively watching these guys to see if perhaps somebody rises up and can contribute?
Well, there's needs at particular positions. Generally, it's, you know, after the 85, you're trying to get guys that will either fill in where you have particular deficits on your roster, whether it be linemen or quarterbacks, running backs. So each year, that roster needs to be supplemented by a preferred walk-on. And so it changes from year to year. We always want to keep somebody on the roster that has triple option experience because of our relationship with playing Navy every year. So we always hold one back for somebody that has that experience with triple option too.
Brian, you have such good tight ends in Wright and Komet, but I'm curious about Tremble, different size kid. Is there a role for him, you think, this year?
Oh yeah, I think so. I think what he allows you to do is from an inline blocking standpoint, you know, we're not necessarily on the line of scrimmage. We're moving that tight end, and he's extremely athletic. You know, he can get out off the zone read and block in space. Very agile. So there's definitely a role for a guy. You know, when we have this picture of a tight end, it's usually you're in a three-point stance. But within our offensive structure, we also have that tight end that's in an H position. So he suits that H-back position quite well for us. So I think that's where you'll see him used primarily this year.
What enabled Jeff Platt to emerge more than the spring after really kind of being injured and last year?
Well, I think what held him back more than anything else is the injuries. But if you ask our offensive linemen, they would tell you that he was the toughest guy that they had to deal with last year on scout team when he was healthy. He was physical. He was difficult to block. So this just didn't appear. What set him back were the injuries from really being able to progress a little bit further than what he did. Now that he's healthy, he's making the strides necessary for us to see him on the radar, if you will.
Tariq Bracy pulled up a little bit.
He has a first-degree ankle sprain.
Anything else?
Great, thank you, appreciate it.